Come on in, welcome to my home. What story does your house tell? Okay, let me explain this. When you walk into a house, one of the things which you probably are expecting is to look around that house and tell something about the person who lives there. Like something. Here's the thing which is really interesting. A lot of people are decorating their homes because they found this really cool style that they absolutely love. And I think that's great. That's wonderful. But is it you? I mean, what really does it tell about you? Are there things in your house that have a story? Now, in my house, there's lots of stuff that has stories. And that's a really cool thing about this, is I try to incorporate my stuff into whatever style that I'm doing. And that's one of the things which you're going to find that if you want to make your house feel like you, like it feels like your home, you actually live there and not some really nice hotel lobby. And I've seen some really nice hotel lobbies. I've seen some really nice hotel rooms. But the whole goal with a hotel room is so that when you walk in there, you feel like it is just a room. It's not supposed to be your room. It's supposed to be a hotel room. Now, do you want your house to feel like you are in a hotel room? You know, for like the first couple days or something, it might be okay. But then after the first couple days, you actually feel like you're living in a stranger's home. It's not your home. There's nothing there to prove that this is you, or even tell people who you are. Well, I don't want to really put out things I don't really like. Well, okay, that's really cool. But look around your stuff. Look around and say, hey, does this piece have a story? And like I said, there are lots of stories with pieces in my house. Right now, the two chairs that I have in my dining room are chairs that were actually in my grandmother's house. In fact, a lot of the pieces that are in my living room are pieces that were from my grandmother's house. And what happened with those two pieces were they were known as the damn it chairs. What it was is in my grandparents' walk-through bedroom, or guest bedroom, I guess you'd call it. These were the chairs that my grandfather laid out his clothes on when he had to go to work in the morning. And what would happen is every time he went through every morning, he'd be like, oh, damn it. And he'd just go on this whole tirade, and it wasn't really anything, and nobody knows why he said it. But it was always a funny little story that all of us, the cousins, my brother, my mom, we all remember him doing it, just no reason why. So yes, there are stories to it. The antique table that I have in my front room, in my living room, is a table from my grandmother's house, and it's actually my mom's table. And my grandfather restored it. The credenza is another piece that actually went with my grandmother's dining room suit. So, yeah, there's lots of things. I mean, even the ugly couches that I want to someday replace go back to when my mom and I were looking at furniture like 30 years ago. And she found these two love seats. Well, she found this couch and then this love seat, and she really liked it, but the problem was the couch was a sleeper sofa. The sleeper sofa would not fit into the room that she would want it to get it into because it was too big to go through the door, so we had to go with two love seats, and that's how I got them. They need to be recovered, but yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing about this. If you can look at an item and start a 1 to 2 minute story about that item, it probably fits. It's probably something that you should, think about keeping. Now, that only works if it's a happy story. If you have funny stories or happy stories or things which make you smile, those are the items which you should be saying to yourself, hey, this is really cool. The other thing that you want to do with those is tell the story. You might want to record just yourself telling the story of that item. Why is that important? Because then other people can appreciate that item. It's not just some sort of bizarre thing that just lives in only your mind and only has any meaning to you. But maybe that's it. Maybe it is just something that has any meaning to you and you don't need to explain it. But it's always nice to have those pieces saved. The one thing which I have done is I've taken a ton of pictures in my house. I take 5 pictures a day, and I've been doing this now for a couple of years. And so there are lots of pieces that have been repeatedly I've taken pictures of, but I have them in the different stylings, the different seasons, that sort of thing, so that way I have a record of those things. I have a record of the stuff. And I can also say I have a record of the stories that it has. The stories of the pieces of the really badly beaten up ottoman that's in my living room. That is the ottoman that is from the first piece of furniture that I ever purchased myself. Like, just me. I paid for it completely. It was an oversized chair with an ottoman, and the cushions that I still actually use go with that. It's my first piece of furniture. Is there some sentimental attachment to it? Yeah, there is. I mean, there are lots of stories about just about every piece of furniture in my house. Every little accessory has a story to it. And that's what's really cool. And so as you're looking at these things and you're like, well, hey, this doesn't mean a lot to anybody but me. Well, then the other part about this is, does your house tell something about you? Looking at this shot, because I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder, I can tell you that just looking at this shot, you can tell, 1, I'm not a minimalist. 2, I don't really like trendy furniture, although I think my style's becoming trendy, which is a whole nother issue. But you can tell that I like more old-fashioned things. From the hutch, which is actually a bookcase on top of a dresser, the unfinished quilt top, which my grandmother started, I think we figured out it was about 60 or 70 years ago. Things from, the mirrors that are right behind me on that door. The reason that they're there is because without those, it's really dark. They reflect the light from the window that's in front of me. Like I said, without those, super dark in here. I mean, there's so many different things and so many different pieces that I like to have those little stories. If you look at my TV cabinet, on top of it, you will see a lot of bears. Why are there a lot of bears? Because I collect bears. I also have a tendency to collect big pieces of glass, like the vases, whatever you want to call them, that I have the candles on there, the lanterns. I always wanted to have those big lanterns, and now I've got them, and I actually like them, and Mom and I went to all sorts of different shops to find them. It has a story. It has a story, and maybe it doesn't have a story that I need to tell anybody, but to me it has a story which brings back things, brings back memories which I love. Even the plants that I have, the little plant that sits in the living room, which is a Christmas cactus, which is oddly enough in bloom right now. It is after Christmas. I got that when I was working at a college, and it was given to a coworker who was like, I'm just going to kill it. Do you want this? And I said, sure, I'll take it. So I took the plant, and guess what? I have loved that plant ever since I gotten it. It is one of those really cool things, and that I think that's what started me down the road on the whole thing with the aloe that's in my office, which I've repotted, the avocado, which came from a seed, the new avocados that are growing. I mean, all of these things have a story, and all of these things tell the story of me. Now, one of the things which you have to think about as you're buying stuff is, well, okay, I really like this thing, but there might not be a story attached to it. It's new. What story? Well, it's okay. Sometimes the stories develop. Sometimes you buy something and you live with it for a while and the stories come up around it. One of the things that which is not really new, but when I bought them, I literally bought them because I needed material that would give me that cozy, sort of woodsy kind of feeling, brighten up on a really dark day, snowy day like today. And so I have this plaid material, and it's really cool. I really do like it. It is those sort of things which make my house feel like my house. You know that it is my home and my home alone. And that's the whole big thing about your house. Does your house feel like it's your house, or does it feel like anybody could live there? No one wants to have a house that feels like at any moment somebody else could just sit right down and you would never know. One thing which you will notice that there are not a lot of pictures in my house. Why is that? Well, Most of my pictures are actually on my TV. So when the TV is in screensaver mode, it's the pictures. Artwork. I don't have a lot of artwork because, well, I haven't found any artwork that actually speaks to me, or artwork that really means something to me. I did have some of those pieces, quilted pieces that my friend gave me for Christmas, and for the holidays, those went up. But it was all of those things that really tell the story of me, who I am. What is special? What's special to you? That's what's going to make your house feel more like a place that you want to be in, especially when you have pieces that are conversation starters. And yeah, sometimes people will like, yeah, I've heard that story. That's when I can look at them and say, but I'm old. I can repeat myself. So yeah, look around your house, see what stories you have to tell, then tell those stories. Maybe it's a recorded history, because that's the one thing I really wish that we had done. I really, truly wish that we had gone through my grandmother's house and taken pictures of the furniture, which is now in my house, so that we have some more context of how those pieces were before, how they are now, and it would have told more of the story of my home. But I'd like to hear your stories. What stories do you have to tell? What stories do the pieces in your house tell you? And if they're not happy stories, if these stories aren't things which just bring joy and light to your life, maybe it's time that those pieces go. And so that you can find new pieces. Maybe it can be an adventure. I mean, on the day like today, where right now it is really snowing, I mean, it is snowing really badly. Mom and I usually went out shopping on these sort of days, and we would hit up all the big places for furniture and accessories. Stories come out of that. They're memories that you get to share and keep and enjoy, and they're memories that you can tell other people. So yeah, I'd like to hear them. Let me know down in the comments, and I hope I get to see you again the next time you stop by.